Retired civil servant cleared, acquisition of brand new aircraft for Umo Air, advancement of work on Ibom Deep Seaport, donation of 150 units of 2-bedroom flats to 150 civil servants, advancement of work on Ibom Tropicana hotels and 5,000-seater international conference center, primary healthcare renaissance, launch of state health insurance scheme and quick response statewide ambulance services, establishment of the Center for the Elderly, construction of a 200-bed hospital within the state medical corridor. These and more are the huge strides of Governor Umo Eno in less than 2 years. They are realities because of your tax. Much more can be achieved if only you continue to pay your tax. Have you paid your tax? This message is courtesy Macrae Trust International Limited for the Akwa Ibom State Internal Revenue Service.
Okay.
Hello, thank you for joining us. It's 4:10 to the minute, and it's our pleasure to welcome you to today's edition of this series. It all started on Monday, and it's going to be running up until the 29th of this month. It is entitled Governor Umo Eno at 29 guests, 29 days. And today on the program, we're going to be drawing a topic, from that theme, and it is an insider critique of Governor Umo Eno at 2. And our guest is already seated, and it's our pleasure to announce that we have in the house an estate surveyor and valuer, a 2-time governorship aspirant on different political platforms. In 2006, he ran on the platform of the then ACN.
Action Congress.
Oh, Action Congress. Oh, wow. Way back. That was even before it became metamorphosed into ACN.
But that was ACN.
Yes. No, that was Action Congress.
Okay,
Later it was Action Congress of Nigeria.
Okay.
And it kept metamorphosing until what we have today. Okay. And then in 2022, building up to 2023, he ran on the platform of the prestigious People's Democratic Party.
Still prestigious,
prestigious.
Right? Still prestigious,
People's
right?
Democratic Party.
Okay.
Well, whosoever wants to challenge me can come and
we're making progress.
Tell me to the contrary.
When Senator Itanan hears
you. We wait till then. Okay, so our pleasure to be joined by this proud son of it too. And today, we're just chatting, and I said, quite unconsciously, we have decided to dedicate the entirety of today's program to people.
Absolutely.
Maybe that's to make up, for the fact that we're actually seated on Itu land. This is Ntariang, in Itu local government area.
So Ntariang is in Itu.
Ntariang is in Itu.
Anytime clan. Whoa.
That should be his clan before you hear him emphasize that. Okay, so today we dedicate the entirety of the program to the people of Itu. Right on the heels of his very explosive outing, we're going to be having yet another Itu man, and in the course of time we'll actually take the cat out of the bag. Our pleasure to announce that. I think the cameras already flashed, so why not just completely unveil our guest. Our guest is
fantastic gentleman.
Beautiful gentleman.
And this man has enjoyed life, man and boy. He's enjoyed life for when I was a boy in the university. We used to go to his office on
Akar Road. Is it
43 Akar Road?
Yes, that place is still there.
And
the office is still there.
It's
like a 3-story building.
Absolutely. And then it's not now. Oh no. Why?
Sincere apologies for that. Okay, so
so I was just saying that
trying to relive the beautiful moments you had.
Oh my God! And when you go to his office, he does like a white man. The old man doesn't want to get old at all. He does like he does like a white man. He sits down there and everything about him structured, clean. He wanted to copy everything from him, and it's such an honor to have ESV James Nyama, who is the chief consultant at James Nyama. Chief consultant at
principal
James
partner at James Nyama.
He's correct.
Oh, chief consultant?
He doesn't know. I'm the boss.
I thought he's principal partner.
He's the chief consultant at James Nyama Consult. And it's such an honor to have this man. By the way, insider critique.
Yes.
Because in more sense than one, even more than you and me.
Yes.
He's an insider. He
can't deny it.
He ran this race, and it's about the only one, I don't know whether there are many others, who stood in this election, who ran in this election, but who's still there, supporting, laughing, playing, and having the time of
no
his
grudges, life. No grudges. Okay, so
proud that he comes from Akwa Ibom.
Very witty, very jovial. It's gonna
very witty. Oh, you said witty.
Yes.
Today I sent him something. Just a link on Facebook. Innocent me, and he now tries to open the thing. Doesn't open it. He tells me that.
Okay,
I hope this thing, he says, I hope this thing that has refused to open will not affect the program. I found it so funny. Help us welcome this 5-star guest to the program. So nice to see you.
Good to see you, sir.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Yes.
Very nice.
All right,
we
so
already have somebody who's joined us online, but we'll be going there.
We'll go there much later.
Absolutely.
Okay, at this point, we made a promise yesterday. And Vintage Us, we're going to keep to our promise. We'll start the program actually by bringing on board our in-house translator-in-chief.
Absolutely.
Aparawa Sylvanus Apan.
Yes.
So his job is to do Ovikon, of course. Yes. Where else? Is to do a recap in 2 minutes. In 2 minutes of what we had yesterday
with Senator
in our Ibibio language. With Senator. Actually, we had that session with Senator Aloshizito of Fortune High School. Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. So,
and by the way, Fortune High Schools today joined our rank of sponsors and supporters, and so Fortune Group of Schools. We are very happy. Thank you for supporting us. Yes.
Ini kaki ini bunyi yang berjiung, baru kita gambar guna bunyi yang berjiung. Gambar guna givio, untuk kisah mana orang nangannya jiung ini metre. Main dia gambar ini kan ini mah kau fong bet ke won dia ikut tu senate. Senate so kalau situ. Ini kono tu kono orang ini sen mentang pun dia ini kudu ini kamera ini pun fini so kau boy fini demi boy sen miru ka. Amati yang pong apa tu mah apa? Mai bagi mai dim pani bidong aku kendentenya ke terem bong. Ke bebenye bu. Mensu ku karami nam ke fang fong wet. Ndum bone ni aku fong wet bok. Ndum ku fong wet aku kara. Dang ke sangat rembong. Nya ma de wor fre bu ke u karami ari twang mi mo ke kang ne bu ke mau ke de nang sene wor ke mau twak anu yong ke kong bandong. Kom no mi ri twang mi mo bun ji ni fong wet bok. Tutum mi moi yang agak benam mi moi si treng wet kui rau fong beru kara treke mi mong kui nyong inam kwa kembek nang fong beru kara anam ba tu kendo sai dang agami ke kom no di nang depend di mondo agam mi moi ki sirum bune de pe ku fong wet ken chun du mu yai isene fam fan ke nyong isene dian tal ki som ibo non tim bo je sen to ne je wen bo ado di wo kara gom no mo no nyeri nami kan mi mo sai kidem mi mo me tio ke I jakam mi mon yen kiba bao song du ke nang mi mo ibi tre di mana nam no fono kanaru den amana yang do tang imai ba benyim bom ba benyim boy bu idam nso ke fuke de bu ke menu fong weda bo ke me di nam no sanga ke me u fong wedu karani ke abu kiba kana sentru gum beta no isri te butere ke nang pedudu ke nam ni mo ibo fong kisan no song Icari dah, mirun dulu. Ukara ya ikan mimo, pom mimo kita orang kini, undi kuam mimo kisiu, ada kali kuah ikan mimo. Iyo kita pergi font dulu. Kenam mimo so isi naik ikan nam, kebi ya ikan nanga akhir besar tu. Gom no du gua marang gue di cinta karo namanya terus ke fang fong gue. Di tangan jami fumerun jen memi. Kiri gom kuah gue dia orang gang ini mah. Kiba ke fak ke kuah bumsted. Gom no mo no di bobo ufong gue primary. Anya ya akan nangan ini kikere. Phổ dọn sinh tăng bữa buồn tàu qua buổi chiều của phó với ý cái đường cứ đi ba ra của Afion gồm nó mồi nó cái coi cái mà nằm quỷ nằm đi kịch đi quát quần đi quát cái đi nằm mà đi là ở đó sẽ tụi mà sao mà nó tăng buồn rồi ấy bởi vì như buồn sớm sinh cái phụ cái đấy cái mẹ xin yêu phong rồi đã bỏ ba cảnh năm nói ngoan một cái đó bởi ý cái mi mới ra cái đêm mông cái mi mới ra cái đêm cái anh nằm mi mong cứ sa go governor mi na me tieti ke mi mo ise na imani ise inwa mukara ke primary inwa mukara ke secondary nde ku kang fu ka kang mo e bon tina no se de ko ni yo ke yo sai tang i fang e di lang ngbe anya tang ba ki ko menu fang be bo na mo ko i beru ko ra ki no ato isu ko ron ki tang me te se na ro ke ku fang be di mo ke de te ni ma be ne ni di mo e bo ji na di sai fang bu tong ke den tum bu ki se bu te ke bu tri ai te ke bu tong ke mi kembe mu sang ke de ki mo mi si be ne wo no nyo i tang me te ki si ne me se kem po ri tu ku kara ke tum me ni ndo yen ke nan de to no yo a yo bo isu adu be mi so ye tong e kam ba fong be secondary den men po ba se di tang aro sa ro i ke me to ke bu ke yo ko ke to ke bu ba yo ba sin yong ni na yong ya ba ke me ru fang ba ban ja ma nan ben yong bu di song i de mu kang yen
fantastic so song ai tete so van so ban do me dio ya ma na ma ke mfa do ke mbong so ko do kama do ma ke
we just need to say Umo is one of correspondents in Lagos. Let's just welcome him to the program even before we set sail. Umo is joining us, I think, from Lagos. Hi, Uwem. We have a problem. Uwem, we cannot hear you in the studios. Sammy will be working on that. Just stay tuned. Let's just start the program. So, ESV, James Inyama, very nice to have you on the program. My first shot to you would be, why are you different as a politician from Nigeria, from Akwa Ibom? Why are you different? Why would you contest in an election? It doesn't go your way, but you are there, even supporting the man that won more than the man would support himself.
The essence of political participation is not entirely to assume leadership. It is for service. And when you participate, you do so with the spirit of sportsmanship. You are prepared to win, but you are also prepared to congratulate a winner if it's not you. And for me, this is not my first journey in politics. I have been pedestrian in politics. Of course, for your information, I was involved with students politicking. Young as I was in secondary school, I was a leader amongst the students in school. So I understood a little bit of the, rudiments of, participation in leadership and being led. And we've been there most of the times. But many times you sit there and you believe you can also offer, you can now support, you have service to render, and you walk into the arena and it doesn't come your way. You learn to shake hands. In 2007, as it were, we were all in PDP, and the chaos that followed the 2007 elections, we moved to Action Congress, Advanced Congress of Democrats. And with Advanced Congress of Democrats, a merger was negotiated with AD, and the Action Congress was born. And that is where we met the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria today. He was a leader in AD and, of course, in the leadership in the negotiation of the merger. And we grew from there, came home, and we launched the party in Akwa Ibom State. And I was privileged to be nominated as a party governorship candidate. But at the general elections, as it were, I didn't win. And I was glad that I did not win, because I wasn't voted for to win. I am a professional person. I am an estate surveyor and valuer. I am a business person. Bush, you will recall that we used to have about the first ICT company in this town. In fact, in this state, Service Rail Nigeria Limited. We had a fiber optic network built from Nitel of then and to 43 Akar Road. We had equipment co-located with NITEL. We put all of the communication infrastructure at 43 Akara. We were doing business. We were doing business in the oil and gas sector, acquiring and supplying equipment. So if it didn't work in politics, we had to fall back to our businesses. But there again, we still had the commitment to serve our community. That is the driving force. But you don't ask me why I wasn't on the scene again after 2007. We won't discuss that. We will drive forward to 29th May. And 2022, I was back on the scene. And you see, God works our thoughts better than we do. We all came into the fray. We're about 12, 14 of us. And if it turns out that one person is favored, by all means, you can't change anything. You can change the thoughts of God. You can change His will. So the wise thing is, if you knew your primary motive for participation, which is service, then you just go ahead, support the process to serve. And don't forget, Pastor Umo Eno wasn't a stranger to me. When I returned to Akwa Ibom State, I may have to announce in the public, I was a guest in a Signature Royalty Hotel for more than 6 months. So he was my host. He was my host. I enjoyed the hospitality of that beautiful facility for more than 6 months. And the rest of it comes, of course, I am a Christian. Not because my name is James.
Absolutely.
I'm a Christian, and there you are. Umo Eno is a pastor. So I saw myself in several, responsibilities to support the decision of the party, the choice of Akwa Ibom State delegates, and of course the people of Akwa Ibom State to work with him. Found him competent to serve the state. I found him of a fair mind to serve the state. And of course he did what a politician would do. Spoke to me and said, hey, my brother, let's do this thing. Of course I told him, why not? And since I gave my word, I won't take back my word until we are at destination in 2031. So that is where it is. We are all here to serve the state.
Okay, a number of follow-up questions. I know that the anchor of the program, Itoro Columba, is dying to start eating you too. But I have 2 follow-up questions, and I'll try to do that in quick succession. Number 1, you said between 2007 or after the 2007 experience, you disappeared until 2022. You didn't want us to ask, but on this program, there are only 2 commanders, and it's Itoro and me. We asked the question. So, because you didn't want that question, we're going to put it to you. Why did you leave the scene in 2007 or after the 2007 experience, only to come back in 2022? That's number 1. Number 2, so that I don't forget it. So you made a promise to Governor Umo Eno that you stand by him and you intend to keep that word. The promise he made to you, has he kept it?
Let me start with the second question. The promise he made to me was to serve the state.
No personal promise as someone who ran on the same platform?
I took the risk and responsibility to run. We were not to be joint risk takers. So I took the risk. And so all I gave to him as a commitment is, we'll do it together. Not because he needed to make we will appoint you. Don't forget, 21st November last year I became 70, so I think I have
70
years, yes. So whatever it is, we'll hand it over the baton.
Is there a mistake in the counting? 70.
If you count with your fingers or the broomsticks,
you will still give the
70.
No, I don't want to count with broomsticks. I want to count with an umbrella. 1 umbrella, 2 umbrellas.
Why umbrella?
Okay, you have started. You should have this program in peace.
Yes, so I gave him the commitment. We didn't need to exchange any consideration, as it were. It was a commitment to serve. Still hold a commitment to serve. not to serve Pastor Umo Eno, but to serve Akwa Ibom State and the people of Akwa Ibom State. That is where the interest lies. Having answered that, the other point is, I told you, I have been a businessman. And after you had, ventured to contest elections, as a businessman, you think you are other alternatives. You have to look at the business atmosphere that is best suited for progression of your businesses. And of course, there couldn't be a more viable environment for the practice of estate surveying and valuation more than Abuja. So very naturally, I had to relocate to Abuja. So that is simply the reason. And of course, when I thought again, that prodding, the strong conviction that, oh, yes, let's do it again. So I had to come, but it didn't come my way again. So we would just continue serving. Fantastic. So those are the reasons.
The way you sound,
absolutely.
I mean,
so major,
you paint
so
a
beautiful,
picture,
so graceful,
very graceful, and you paint a picture of a very rich man. I mean, not because you've said so, but it takes a very rich.
It's a picture.
Man. Yes,
and pictures don't lie.
And pictures don't lie. Because it takes a typically rich man to attempt to be governor of Akwa Ibom State twice. And 2007 and 2022, that's a gap of about over 15 years.
Yes,
15 15 years gap. So you spent, we remember how fiercely, contested the ticket of the party was. And even the general election, we know how fiercely contested it was in 2007. You survived that, went to Abuja, made so much money, and came back. I specifically remember that the form, the nomination form for the last election on the platform, anybody who wanted to get a ticket of the PDP had to part with, was it not 20 million? And you survived all of that, and here you are.
Still looking richer.
Well,
if it were an economy, you would not say all these things. You're just attacking an
economy. I know the attitude. I know the attitude you have towards it too. I'm not, but God would be.
I'm only asking very innocent questions. I'm not. We belong to the 4 eyes. If you're not economy need, there's no way I will bring my kids man on that radio and TV.
No.
I'm beginning to attack you.
We can deal with it.
Yes.
Absolutely.
You see, I like reading a book, and that book has a verse that says, a man's riches does not consist of his possession. Some people can be, they could have all the money in the bank, and yet they are bankrupt morally.
Right. Absolutely.
That's right.
They could be bankrupt intellectually. You see, so what emboldens you to participate is a conviction. What is my offering? Do I have anything to offer in this studio? If I didn't know I have something to offer, when he called me, I would have avoided it.
That's right.
But yes, if I sit here, I believe, I'm convinced I will make a contribution. Particularly when he said it was an insider critic of Governor Umo Eno's second year. Yeah. Running into the anniversary of the creation of the state. I mean, we can talk. I have been in New York since 1985. I can tell the story of the state, before creation, so we don't get worried when somebody wears a black hat and prepares to fire.
I really don't know. I don't know how harmful that question was.
No, it wasn't.
I'm trying to establish the fact that, I mean, it takes a man in the mold of Mr. James Inyema to survive this kind of storm
and still stay
afloat and still be. Imagine how you look at 70.
Salt, but I'm not asking the question.
So it was only him that tried to incite you against me. I'm very innocent. But even that question is very harmful.
When your name is Bush, what would he asked for Bush? He was very Bush.
Well, we can't attack him. He's the boss. So I have to concede. Yes. All right, stay away from that. Very interesting. But I like to find out from you. It takes somebody who has seen some gaps for you to have made an attempt to be governor of Akwa Ibom State not once but twice. What were those gaps you saw that led you to running not once but twice?
And they're still there now.
Yeah,
those gaps.
Are they still there?
I'll start from yesterday. Governor Umo Eno, unveiled his empowerment and wealth creation program in Itu yesterday for Itu Ibiono Federal Constituency. And I had somebody sit by me. I had collected the document of the beneficiaries of that program. I read through every page. I saw the summation of the total, grants offered to Akwa Ibom State indigents. And I told the man who sat before me, I am an estate surveyor and valuer. I have been in Uyo from 1985. We had the opportunity as estates of professional persons, estate surveyors and valuers, to relate with micro businesses. Don't forget, most of us in this state are micro businesses, not even small scale businesses. And I looked at it and said, look, if these men and women were to approach a commercial bank for a loan, not 20% of them will benefit because they will be unable to satisfy even the documentation requirements. I can tell you a story. There was a man somewhere, he lived at Ekbanya, had a factory at Afahoko. He went to Nigeria Bank for Commerce and Industry for a loan to import a milling machine from Italy. And he went to the bank for more than a year. And the bank wasn't talking to him. Whoever advised him, I wouldn't know. He came to my office, the same 43 Accra Road, and he said to me, "Again, able young man who can care for young man not near loan." I didn't ask him who. I just told him, "Where will you want this loan from?" Nigeria Bank for Commerce and Industry. Of course, I knew that the bank was in Calabar on Marian Road. I told him, "So what do you want me to do?" He said, "Ngima from Benaka Bank." I said, "Okay, fine, I'll take you. But you are going to be the one who hires the car. You take me to Calabar and you bring me back." And when we approached the bank manager, he looked at him in the face, then looked at me and said, he asked, "Who is this man?" I just told him, "He's my uncle, my mother's junior brother." He said, "I feel very sorry for him." I said, "Why?" He said he doesn't know how to prepare a banking document or a loan facility document. And I said to him, "Is that all?" He said, "Yes." And then he turned over to me and said, "James, because you brought him, we'll prepare the document for him." That is how he got the loan. So when I looked at the document, I told the man who sat by me, I said, "This is a dream
come true."
People benefited 500, not a sheet of paper for documentation. I remember when the database of beneficiaries was being prepared. Sometimes I get curious over issues. I walked over to the office of the officer who coordinated it, and I started talking with him, and he gave me the idea of what they were doing, in the communities. I left. Most of those people, those beneficiaries, most of them wouldn't stand the chance of coming to Accra Road or Round Road or Barracks Road to talk to a bank. And here you are, 500,000 is thrown at you. I saw somebody get 5 million. Some got 1 million. If you lived in Uyo then, you would know what the traders or businesses in this town went through to get trading capital from African Continental Bank, Union Bank stuff. So those are the kinds of things you saw, and you said to yourself, "Hey, look, would there be an opportunity?" Because essentially, if you can lift the Akwa Ibom State community from being government dependent and become private sector or individual business dependent, the outlook of things will change. And just look at the volume, the number of persons just from Itui Federal Council, 2 local government areas. And I believe with the machinery that is set up for mentoring and monitoring, we look forward to a few years in the days ahead when the economy of this state will change. Don't forget that those micro businesses impact economy by far more than the small scale businesses and the medium scale entrepreneurs. So those are the kinds of things you had seen elsewhere, and you'll be dreaming they would be done. And the other thing you were asking, look, what are the gaps? What are the things, Now, you sit back there, you have seen communities develop elsewhere. And okay, I'm from Itam, and I tease my kinsmen. I say, okay, my tete mufeti you might say some takanya Itam mufetre. He made some with you because he make a call tiger AKBC to waki to come. You still needed to move. You see, you sit down there and you look at the population drifts, the migration and the impacts, not just the impact on infrastructure. You look at the impact on the social life, because those to some of us matter more than the rest of it. We look at what impact does it have, and you want to wish, okay, we could do something that will restrain the migration of rural community to the urban. And what do you need? The same thing that boy is looking for in the city. Why not take it to him in his village? When he sees it in his village, the urge is no more there. And you see, Governor Umo Eno now is talking of rural development and rural infrastructural provision. And, those things they have the tendency to stimulate, not just economy, the social life, integration, and all of that. So we could go on and on in several aspects of life. We don't want to talk of education. We don't want to get... So some of those things, we're always challenging our interests. Hey, look, can we add? Can we teach? Can we be an example? I'll tell you a story. When I bought equipment to start Service Trail Nigeria Limited, the equipment landed at Tinkan Island Port. And before we went to Clare, we had people cluster the equipment. Oga, we they carry this kind of thing go. Oga, make we carry and go Sakatinubu now. Oga, carry this thing, make we go Sakatinubu now. Sakatinubu is a confluence of every communication infrastructure in Nigeria. Everything. But I said no. And I knew what drove my thoughts. We brought those equipment, we installed them at 43 Accra Road, and then I could see students of electrical, electronics engineering, computer science. They would come there. For the first time, they could see a server. For the first time, they could see switches. They interacted with those things physically. And sometimes you think the other person is more intelligent than this person. Not exactly. It is the exposure to opportunities. See, so those are some of the things we have seen, and they have held us down here. We have loved to live here, in addition to the fact that home is the best. We love being here. So those are some of the kinds of things that encourage us to remain.
Okay. I think we should go to Lagos, and Umo Eno should join us. Umo is in Lagos. Umo seems to really have enjoyed the conversation. Umo, your perspective. What are you thinking? What made you smile so much? Yeah, when we're willing to wait. Can you hear us?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, loud and clear. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm listening to that guest speak. It's very, very uplifting. that he has taken us through time, and then bringing us back to the present. I'm full of praises for His Excellency's government. He's from my local government in Sulu, and I'm very proud of him. And I am in Abuja, not in Lagos.
Okay, you're in Abuja. Okay, great.
Yes. However, he has spoken about the micro business focus of the governor himself. But I would expect him to be more expansive and then begin to focus on some other aspects of the economy. And then there are a few things I noticed that he is picking up that are already in the States, that he should focus in expanding them, completing them, rather than go to open others. Statistics currently shows that Akwa Ibom State is not doing well in sports. This is an aspect that can employ a lot of young people. The last microfunding, what he is doing, was about 306 million naira. And this was distributed to about over 600 people. Now, by the time you divide that money, you notice that each person goes with 450,000 or so. Barely $300. Looking at the economy, at the value of money today, how much can that go? Fine, there are people who could make use of that, and there are those that will squander it. There are people, young people that are interested in sports. There are young people that are interested in entertainment. This aspect of the economy is very important and addresses youth needs in the States. So I would want, okay, the last Niger Delta tournament that was set, games that was set, held in Rio, Akwa Ibom State came last. When you also go to education, check the last WAEC result. Akwa Ibom State was somewhere in 15. Something is wrong. We have very beautiful sporting facilities, but other states are coming to enjoy it. Akwa United is about going on relegation. What are we doing about that? So it's not about stopping on the road, giving old women money and picking people and be sharing money. It should be strategic and deliberate. I did a calculation. If over 600 million is injected into farm processing every year, Akwa Ibom State will be making, from that alone, 100 million. That very money. Now imagine how many people would have been employed. So in addressing economic needs, it should also be strategic. I hear a lot of promises that we are constructing Ibom shopping, whatever, and we hear another one, resorts. Ibom hotels and golf course has not been used. This facility was built to be one of the best in Africa, but it's just there. But we are planning to go and build another wall, which we don't know what it is going to be.
Okay, so Umo, I like us to be very interactive. Let me take you up on a few issues you've raised. For instance, you just talked about the need for the governor to be more deliberate, more strategic, more intentional. But I like you to, to agree with me, if you don't mind, that we are building an Akwa Ibom for the future. For instance, as we speak, every an Akwa Ibom person's dream today is to see how we can have the Bom Deep Seaport materialize. And we know the huge economic benefits, that we're going to derive should that big dream come to fruition. So when you say, for instance, doing the Arise, recreational park is a wrong investment. You didn't use those words, but that's my interpretation. Are we looking at the future? And I also don't know if you have your statistics when you say that Ibom Hotel is not being used. I also like you to juxtapose this with the reality that today, the Nigerian Bar Association cannot come to Akwa Ibom and successfully have its national event. The bar conference, I think that's what it's called. Because, for instance, we lack the adequate facilities that they need to host such a conference. So when you come up with some of these issues, I like you to also have at the back of your mind that 100,000 naira means so much to a local trader in the village. So I like you to put all of this in perspective before you drive on, your point.
Okay. I would also want you to help me to manage the bounce back sound, because I'm having feedback.
Oh, I don't know where that's coming from. Are you sure it's not from your end? You sure you don't have any signal receiver close to you?
I don't.
Okay, we're gonna try to fix it. Sorry about that.
Can I say something?
Okay. So why talking about? Okay, let me look at first of all, Ibom Icon Hotel and Golf Course Resort. I can't hear.
Go ahead, we can hear. We're all ears. Go ahead. We can hear you.
Okay. Ibom Golf Course and Resort is one of the best, the second largest in Africa. The golf course was not just for people to go and be cutting the grass. It was for international tournaments. This is a platform that could actually put Akwa Ibom State in the international world map. And then we are talking about foreign investment, and we are not caring about branding.
Can I?
Okay, you want to interject?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, can I say something, please? Can I say something based on knowledge? I think we need to be a little more patriotic as much as we want to contribute to issues. Let us give credit to government and leadership in this state regarding Ibom Icon and Golf.
But sir, that is what you have done.
Hold on.
I have a right to pick the other side.
No, sir. Because the information you are throwing up is not entirely correct. If I am quoting you right, you say it has not been used.
That's how we put it.
It is incorrect. Obong Victor Attack commissioned the entire facility, which we know today as Ibom Icon and Golf Course. I am fully aware that the golf course is in full use, it's functional. I am aware that Nigerians, including some from Abuja, come to you to play golf at that golf course. So we can be a little more patronizing. So that golf course has been
okay. Let me continue. Maybe I didn't use the word optimally utilized. Maybe I should have used that term. Optimally utilized.
Go ahead.
Okay, I expected, honestly, that that facility should host international tournaments. That today we should have what we call Ibom Open. What it does is that it opens the states to international community for investment. We should utilize it rather than just keep it for exercise. Or people will just come and be playing.
Sorry, Ugwem, can I also let me interject again with due respect to Ugwem?
Okay, is not
no, hold on. When you go in the tangent where you are tending to mislead us, I have to put you on course. I know the IBB golf course. IBB golf course is not far from my house. I know members of that golf course have come to Uyo to participate in golfing activities. But let me say something we also have to accept. Elsewhere, individuals make contributions towards the improvement of...
Sir. Ibom Golf Course has the second largest hole in Africa.
Okay.
It wasn't for clubs, all the small clubs. It was for international tournaments.
I'm coming there as well.
Okay, so we would like you to land on your thoughts. So let's do some bullet points on the point you're trying to to raise. In addition to the ones you've already raised, so we can make progress. Let's see how we can reduce the back and forth. Let me say that you have the right to hold your opinion, but we also have the right to try to put you on the reality trajectory. So we'd like you to bulletproof your point so we can make progress, and then we switch to having some fillers from those who are already in the studio willing to also make contributions. I
am thinking that for us to expand our economy beyond microeconomic focus, we should begin to focus on other investment opportunities that are available in the state.
Okay. Namely, you've talked about sports. You've talked about sports.
Yes. Yeah, I think that if we could actually activate the fullness of Ibom Golf Course, it will be an opportunity to attract international community to focus, and then we can direct them on some of the opportunities that are there. So it could be a platform for engagement.
Okay, fantastic. That point is made.
Now the next one you talked about, the Ibom Deep Seaports. There are no gainsaying that Ibom Seaports would have been a game changer in economic indices in Akwa Ibom State. Question: are we sincere? When the last governor was there, I remember celebrating that Akwa Ibom State has been given a concession license for 50 years. So they want to start operation. But Phyllis reaching us now has it that it is now that His Excellency.
Okay, so we have.
Umo Eno is processing that. Is processing that aspect. So if only we are sincere, even this support could be achieved. It is something we all support. Because as it stands, they are not yet sincere about it.
Well, Umo, I'd like to thank you. It's neither here nor there when we come here to accuse maybe past or present leaders of insincerity. What I like you to note is that Ibom Deep Seaport is not like when you walk into the supermarket and you just pick an item, and then you go to the counter, you pay for it. It's a very technical, a costly investment that can only be actualized in phases. So when you talk about what the immediate past governor claimed was in the box, was already on the table, we need to be very sure, because we know the milestones. We know the milestones. 1 minute, sir. One minute, sir. Yeah, we know of the milestones that successive administrations have achieved, from Obong, Victor Atta, to Chief Godswill Akpabio, to Deacon Udom Emmanuel, and we also know the challenges.
Said that they collected what do you call it? The consensus from they got it.
We also know the challenges. Yeah, we also know the challenges that they have also faced, because everything about the Ibom Seaport does not start and end in Akwa Ibom. There's a lot that they need to get from the center. So these are issues we must put on the table before we can make very valid, critique.
I hope it's not the reason why we are dumping Ibom for APs.
Well, we would like to thank you for your candid contributions. If you don't mind, let's also give room for, because we have a star guest, Mr. James Inyama. I'd like to thank you for the other side that you have tilted, but reality should also stare us on the face when we are critiquing, doing some critique on government. So I'd like to thank you. If you don't mind, we'll come back to you before the program ends. Thank you very much. All right. So in case you've just joined us, we're 1 minute away from 5 o'clock, and it's still Governor Umo Eno at 2. 29 guests, 29 days, put together by Bush House Nigeria, a collaboration with the Ministry of Information, Akwa Ibom State. Today on the program, our star guest is Mr. James Inyama, a two-term attempter, if you like, if there's such a word, to the office of governor, and is very deep and incisive in his analysis of issues about governance and about politics. So we'd like to thank you for your time. It was a beautiful thing that we needed to go to Abuja, your second home, so also have alternative opinions on issues of governance. But back to why we're here. When you answer the other question, I think that was the penultimate question I threw at you. You painted a picture of a man who is, to some extent, fulfilled. That because I asked you what gaps you saw that made you attempt to be governor twice, and you painted a beautiful picture of what the governor has attempted to do, building on the layers of our success, our past foundation. But I'd like to ask, on a scale of 100, to what extent are you satisfied? If you were to rate the governor, going by what he has done in almost 2 years, which to a very large extent from the way you responded to that question is satisfactory. But on a scale of 100, how would you rate it? And why?
It's too early in the day.
Yeah, we're looking at
too early in the day.
Okay.
For instance, when Uwem spoke about sports, my reaction to him would have been, are you listening to what government is doing? Paul Bassi is a reputable sports administrator. He's been active in sports in the whole of Africa, and I believe beyond. And the governor has brought him on the saddle as a commissioner for sports. He wouldn't just do that to gratify Paul. He does that because he believes it is time to invest. We have a beautiful stadium, another stadium at Eket. There are opportunities for more sporting infrastructure to be built if we did our needs assessment survey. So if you ask me, it's too early in the day. For instance, he just set up a committee on, I think, some agricultural committee headed by Professor Okonansa. Professor Trench Adibia is there. The intention is to move us away from small-scale farming to industrial or commercial type farming, where we can now farm for processing, we can now farm, process for export, but that will take some time. They say Rome is never built in a day. So you see the things that are done, it's just laying the foundation for the growth. I was here. I was at Ntaginyangitam on the day Governor Tunde Ogbeha arrived the state. I had lived in Uyo before then. I knew what Uyo was before then. The first attempt Governor Tunde Ogbeha made to build roads was the construction of Ikorekpene Road through to Oron Road. He awarded it to a company called PW Nigeria Limited. It was a ridicule. But you see, you couldn't judge him by that. You couldn't judge him by that. I belong to the built environment. My bias could be in, the physical development of the city. But put all of them together, Governor Umo Eno, when you follow his programs, is on the right path. But too early yet to say, okay, on the scale of 100, how do you rate it? And in any case, who am I to assess a governor?
Who else would if you don't? You are a citizen of Akwa Ibom?
I am not a governor. God me God that says governor. No, but to be honest, it's too early in the day to talk of assessing them. He is still laying the blocks. He's still laying the blocks. Look, he set up an agency for the management of government assets, maintenance of the same together with infrastructure. You need to follow through what the establishment is doing. He has moved Akikop. He now says all of those investments of government we put in your care. Let's run them all like business. Too early to assess and say yes. You need to see the thoughts. You follow with the thoughts. Where are we heading? In my opinion, he is doing well.
Okay. So we leave the scaling for now until we get to 2027.
Until you go to school.
All right. So let me inform our viewers and our listeners that in the studio is a panel. That's the panelists came in here so they can also be a part of the program. Idon Esena is a member of the Michael Bush Mentoring Academy. He's been here before, and then of course our in-house translator-in-chief is here. We also have a beautiful lady, Mary Ann Andy, who also joins us as a panelist, and of course Chuk Agu. He was here yesterday and is here. So I'm going to allow you take turns to also ask our in-house guests some questions. Now, the theme for today's edition is an insider critique of Governor Umo Eno's second year in office. But there has got to be a modification to that theme, because we also have an outsider critique in Mr. Wemowo, who is still on the line. I will promise to get back to him, but let's take turns and have the panelists also, raise some questions on Mr. James Inyama. So everybody is ready first.
Yes, I'm Chikwa Agusa. Again, I introduce myself. Let me start by saying I am really enthralled by your person. I first met you when you ran for governor against Senator Godswill Akpabio.
2007.
Yes, from a distance I came for some of your events, and I didn't meet you this deep. But sitting here with you in this proximity, I am really enthralled. In fact, I don't know the right words to use to describe how I view you currently.
Thank you.
You are deep in your perception and you are grounded in your views. I'm impressed. On that side, I will leave a question for you. You have done this much with your life. You have impacted the sphere this much with your name. Have you mentored people? Have you reproduced yourself? Are they people from your loins? They may not be biological children. For example, he introduced him as a Michael Bush mentee. I'm a Michael Bush mentee. At times when I perform, people say, you do like the boss. Are you leaving behind people of this quality for us? That is one, sir. Two, let me speak on the perspective that Mr. Uwo has brought. You see, when you are used to good things, at times you don't appreciate them. When you have so much good around you, so you need to travel and see what others are having But when you come back, you say, wow, what I have is good. Akwa Ibom State was created in 1987. Before Akwa Ibom, there were other states. States who are even richer than Akwa Ibom. How far have they fared? I just appreciated you. You ran for governor, you didn't win. But look at the quality you have. Akwa Ibom has been blessed with this crop of leaders. Successively, Akwa Ibom has produced very good leaders. And they leave behind this imprint on the landscape. There is hardly any part of Akwa Ibom where you go to and you don't find good roads. You go to other states and your vehicle will suffer. This is one state that has left behind an enduring A-line that everyone celebrates across the continent. People come from all over the world and they say this is so clean. We talk about the reception that the people give you. Whenever people come, my friends come from Lagos, Abuja, Warri to watch matches, Super Eagles matches here. When they go back, the thing they talk about is not the quality of the match. They talk about the quality of the people. Akwa Ibom people are friendly, they are friendly. Nobody loses their foes in that stadium. Nobody is robbed and all these kind of things. These are the things we should be putting out there. Everybody has challenges.
Sure.
There is no land where it is all uhuru, or else gold will reign. It's not possible.
Sure.
So, as the leaders make progress, the people need to, yes, criticize, but let it be with a touch of reality. Don't criticize if you are in an El Dorado where everything is all good. No. The governor spoke yesterday in Itu. And I remember the lines. I sat here and I listened to him. He said that each time people attack former governors, he feels bad. He said, I'm in the office now, I know exactly what it feels like.
Okay.
So, on that note, I am speaking to what he said. Yes. We expect so much from our leaders. We also understand. If you have been a class rep, ordinary class rep, you know what it means.
Absolutely.
You know what it means.
Okay, so that's Marianne.
You actually raised a question.
Yes, I asked him.
Agu,
yes, sir.
Your question indeed is a challenge that stares me in the face every day. You know, when I read Genesis 14 and I see what Abraham did, at the time, you know, Lot was attacked in the Battle of the Kings, that the men he took to battle were not raised by the Israeli army or something, but they were men he raised in his household. It challenges me to believe that that is another level of responsibility to society and humanity. But I could say with humility that there are a couple of people that have passed through me, estate surveyors and valuers that have passed through me. In politics, a few of them that have been through me. Yeah, they're there. Even in the church, there are people who passed through me. They are pastors today, but I'm still a brother in the church. So I'm happy to that extent, but I wish I would do better. But just to add a little to what you said, you know, many times we sit there and we look at government. You don't want to look at government with the intent of what you get. You look at government with the intent of the opportunities that are available to you as a businessman. Okay, I have seen the Boom Golf Course. Okay, they're just having tournaments. So how can I come in and sign a contract with the hotel or Akwa Ibom State government where I can now be a promoter of an annual golf course event of that kind of global level? You see, we also need to be looking at issues from a leadership responsibility point of view. What would my contribution be? What do I do? Okay, you know, as soon as we begin to do that, you see, we take some burden off it. You were 10 years old and your father did everything for you, but the moment you became 18, 20, you took away the responsibility from your father. He didn't need to scold you again. You needed to do, in fact, you could begin to make suggestions on the betterment of the family to your father. It's got to be so. But a situation where we believe it's all got to be, government. You make suggestions. If government doesn't take your suggestions, no problem. But make suggestions.
Absolutely. Okay, Marianne.
Okay. So I'm so happy to meet you in person, sir. I've heard a little about you from my husband. Anytime you come out to contest, you wouldn't know me, but then he would keep telling me, that's my dad's friend. Let me stay my Andy. So I am
the fry.
The fry. The fry pan. So I'm so happy to meet you, and I thank God for his grace upon your life. At your age, you still look 60, 65.
Thank you.
Okay. What I when you were talking about like we're saying it's too early to rate the governor, I was nodding my head in affirmation. I want to ask you something as an insider. I want you to, like, what stands out for you as a person in this Governor Umo Eno's style of leadership? What stands out for you? What is that thing that makes you nod your head in like satisfaction that he's doing well? What stands out?
I'm not a politician, neither am I a political scientist.
You're not a politician?
Neither am I a politician. But you see, when we were taught civics in school, they said democracy is government of the people, for the people, for the people. And Governor Umo Eno stands there, offers himself for the people. And you see him a lot more people-centric.
Okay.
He is making attempts to demystify government. And I believe he puts his ears to the ground. I told you he was my host for more than 6 months as signature royalty. And I also see him tend to, transfer the service mentality of hospitality in governance. So you see bits of things. It doesn't have to be that perfect jigsaw. But you see bits of things that can be built upon. What we're looking at is building the foundation for the future. We can tell the stories. How did this studio come by? I can tell the story. Governor Tunde Ogbe attempted to take a studio to Abak. It didn't work. It was all controversy, contention. And then Governor Idong Esenkanga brought King's Engineering. The same process. 2 governors. So it's a continuum. One lays a foundation, another builds on it, another does better, and we keep progressing.
Okay.
And you will hear Nigerians say everywhere and always, even our antagonists would say, Akwa Ibom State has always been blessed with good leaders.
No doubt about that. All right, so I like to thank you. You just, I ordinarily would have asked you some core political questions, but you completely disarmed me when you said in the course of answering the last question that you're not a politician. So I don't want to tempt you by asking you some core political questions.
I will answer.
Lest I fall into trouble.
But
so we like
the
to,
registrar.
I was thinking the registrar can wait when we bring on the second guest on account of time.
Yes,
I don't know
but
what
you
you
can
think.
just take 1 minute. You have something to say to him?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much, sir, for coming up. Let's look at the Arise straight. I know Pastor Moino must have done something, a couple of things very, very good in terms of the Arise. But I'd like you to look
at the
Arise agenda. Let's look at it again. Is there anything you think
you should have added? Anything missing?
Anything missing
from Arise agenda?
Improve upon.
In terms of delivery?
Yes.
Again, okay, I'll say this. When I contested the election in 2007, my campaign agenda was Arise 2007.
Whoa.
Taking exclusively from the Bible. Udom Gabriel Emmanuel came. I wasn't here at the time. He came with Dakada.
The same Arise.
And he comes with this. But I can tell us a story in this studio if we have time. I used to worship with the Church of God Mission International Incorporated. Archbishop Benson Idahosa was alive. He came to Uyo for a crusade at St. Patrick's Primary School at Back Road. And he was on the podium ministering. He turned to Akwa Ibom ministers on the podium and asked them, how do you say arise in a Bibio language?
Whoa.
I was there, and there are ministers who were on that podium that night.
Who are still alive.
what? How do you say arise in Ibibio? And the chorus Dakada. So you see, most of the things we do are birthed from prophecy.
Absolutely.
We can only realize the completion of this with time. We can only continue to build on this, improve on it, and get them to get to the nooks and crannies of the Akwa Ibom state.
Absolutely. Okay, we gotta go.
Well, what a fine point to
did you ask him about the event in Itu?
Oh,
yesterday.
Yeah, some brief perspective of what happened yesterday.
But sometimes I am not the right person to ask some questions. The reason I say I was full of emotions. Why was I full of emotions? On the day Governor Umo Eno came to Itu as a candidate for his campaign, I happened to have been the Akwa Itu indigene who was invited to speak on behalf of the Itu people. And so when I saw him again on the podium yesterday, I had a recollection of that day. And I never forget such events. But yesterday I saw a Governor Umo Eno who was more at home than when he came for the campaign. That's one. And I used to act plays as a student up to when I was a youth corps member. One of the things you learned to do was look at the reaction of the audience. So you run your eyes through the audience and you could see joy on the faces of Itu people. You could see them express acceptability. You looked at them at the time one of our members moved a motion here, the member Itu, Ibiono State Constitution, moved a motion for the adoption of the people, for the adoption of Governor Umo Eno for 2027. And then Idon Srituen came to second. As much as I was interested in what they said, I was more interested on the reaction of Itu Ibiono
Absolutely.
people. And you saw them accept it with gladness, openness of heart. And so for me, I was happy it is a settled issue. The second thing I saw was that, people from my constituency were drawing benefits from government, not to go home and feed it, but to go and build on business. You know what I tell my people? I said, look, the moment you land Okpokong Bridge, all the way to Ekodi Junction, no, not Dubai. I call it Junction. Come on, I forgot that. Ibiakpan Junction. When you drive on that road from Okpokong Bridge all the way to Ibiakpan, bet me you are not going to find a shop. A proper business. So we take note of those things and we always pray and dream for a day we will see. In planning, we are taught that when you have a road like that, the next experience you have is a lateral growth. People come and then acquire land and build through the stretch.
We gotta go.
But we don't have that.
We gotta go.
Thank you.
We gotta go. Again, I promised him he's going to come back on this program before the 29th. He brings the arts tremendous value, and it just blesses my soul. We'll give 2 minutes to the translator before the Right Honorable Dr. Henry Achibong is our next studio guest. I know he's right in the building.
I know he's a politician.
Absolutely. As he's the Honorable Commissioner for Housing. He just comes here to balance the perspective. Yes. Interpreter, translator, I'm saying a government.
Sini keselia kai. Mumagira akan benusong tawikum. Etin de fekete do ba min sang akan bere ni do ka ma sang bere. Awu me ko bo fogin ma ke kene wan na fo ida ba nyong mendang. Akbodo ba James ni ma dang ko won de be ko bo we se ke ko do. Ni dang ko ma ke mi na ma pu ke te ni ba nyong ngum na ni dang ko du mo ba ma to o James ni ma do ba ke bu ja ma nyong ni 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 bu ki mo moi ba. Như tăng có màu nó với record là nhắm mò 30 cái studio mi ra. À tai có cái như tăng cái rồi ta ba như có pin hoàn cho mà bao được mi có gì ba như tăng á. À cái mồi ý cái phải em bu ba. Cái đó đi ý bùm báo tôi đi mồi cara ý can ý cara. Cái mồi cái phải em bu ba. Ý pin mi can. imo idi na mo biong tumze buri rong imo iru idi kara nang imo ikere na mwe fege mbo wa mbere ukara idi namse buri dong imo mbesi mo idi yongo kenen ko de kang gwere ndi fe ko do min sen gonen ko ngwere yem si buri nang fang e fere babu ke di ke buri yongo ke tim body nam afa sene di nam ke di yong bo no fin e tem gwen fu gwere yems gwere mo yene nye dang do asoko ya ne ba mem nye boram ba mi e bu ke imo ke mko kre fu ke te ke kwai bum anya mo wodi te rice mo wodi te rakara yir go rice nye mo wodi te ndum ke taw mi yang bo ni kete na abu ba men tum bo wodi ki tu gi fi ko gu ke kwai bum bu no kana wu sing wa di dang re ke fre fan bo sing ni ke ki de ma bo asong pong su nyam ken si ke ki ko bi ne mesa ke ba si ni kwai bum sen den ga taw mi yang bo sing ni ke da ba si diong ne mi ke dong ku ke a ma ke na na be mi su yi da ni di baba din ke je mo go si ben ku kre mi ngwat no sang ga fon din ka ba si diong ne diong kwai bum je men tim me dai guru kara kusi ken da yang ni bo mo di mi kri si ku gitu ay guru ke di yang diana dai guru kara sen ni so ke namba ku kre ba si yemi asa ke mo guru
we just need to quick say thank you to our supporters, the Ministry of Information, AKBC, Oron local governments, Ministry of Housing, Bible State University. I knew you mentioned it. I just said a small trap for you. We won't mention another person. Okay, but it's not actually Senator Oloshide supporting
it's actually
us.
Fortune.
It's Fortune Group of schools that's supporting us, and other supporters needed. ESV James Inyema is the chief consultant of James Inyema Consult. Fantastic gentleman. Any day, I promise you, he'll be back on the program and we'll talk some more. Many thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
70-year-old man who looks like looks like
in his 60s.
If we are not even careful, we can be older than him. We look older. I see. Short break. The next one we come with the Right Honorable Dr. Henry Achibong, the Honorable Commissioner. I like his name. I'm going to shock him when he comes here. The Right Honorable Dr. Henry Achibong. Honorable Commissioner Housing, Akwa Ibom State. Please stay tuned.
Over 200 units of compassionate homes, hundreds of kilometers of roads covering all local government areas, over 10,000 entrepreneurial equipment and tools to MSMEs, 5 billion naira worth of grants to farmers and traders, over 60 billion gratuity arrears to retired civil servants cleared, acquisition of brand new aircraft for Umo Eno, advancement of work on Ibom Deep Seaport, donation of 150 units of 2-bedroom flats to 150 civil servants, advancement of work on Ibom Tropicana hotels and 5,000-seater international conference center, primary health care renaissance, launch of state health insurance scheme and quick response statewide ambulance services, establishment of the center for the elderly, construction of a 200-bed hospital within the state medical corridor. These and more are the huge strides of Governor Umo Eno in less than 2 years. They are realities because of your tax. Much more can be achieved if only you continue to pay your tax. Have you paid your tax? This message is courtesy Macrae Trust International Limited for the Akwa Ibom State Internal Revenue Service.
Everything you go through in life is preparing you for your next assignment. My father was a police officer, so I lived in the barracks. A barracks is like a mini in Nigeria. You find everybody there. My dad's salary, of course, couldn't meet the family income, so I had to sell soft drinks for my mother so that we can make up the family income. I used to take soft drinks from our home and I go to the airport and sell. It was fun. I didn't know I was going to ever get into hotel business. So eventually, my coke hawking helped me later in life when I started running my hotel. Those little things you did became building blocks for my later days in life. And you know what? My house was built on the same street I used to go through to hawk. And so everybody that saw me hawk these soft drinks for my mother, when I bought a land there and built my house, all of those people were still alive. It's like, some of them had to break their children. Look at me mentor these kids. Today, when I drive around the streets, sometimes you find people sell and you stop by. I just remember, it used to be like this. That hawking has helped me today to be able to serve the people. Accept the things you can't change and change the things you can, and ensure that you just have the fear of God in you. I think the only person that can stop you from achieving what God has set out for you is you.
Akwa Ibom is rising.
Many thanks for still staying tuned. It's the second part and the last, if you ask me, on this 5th day of this series entitled Governor Umo Eno at 29 guests, 29 days. And we say at the wastage of this program that today is absolutely dedicated to our landlords, the two people. We just finished with estate surveyor and valuer James Inyama, now seated and about to join us on the show is a two-term member of the House of Representatives who spoke for the people of Ibom Federal Constituency, and right on the heels of when he completed that task, he came back and got actively involved to the extent of being elevated to the position of political leader. So this one is a politician. James Inyama said he wasn't. So this one is not just a politician.
Yes, that's trying to run for governor.
Yes. So this one is not
we
just.
make progress too much in this state.
I tell you,
so that sometimes it's backwardly.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Okay. So this one is not just a politician; he's a political leader of its local government.
And yesterday we saw him.
Yes, yesterday we saw where when he did some presentations to the governor.
He even spoke.
Yes, he spoke, and he is one man who has enjoyed about 3 political appointments within the lifespan of this administration.
Oh.
He first was made honorary special advisor to the governor. Later, he became political advisor in charge of his senatorial district. And before you could say Jack, he became honorable commissioner.
Nobody knows what is going to become
Nobody
tomorrow.
knows what is going to become tomorrow. So I don't know if it's safe to say that he's one man that holds 3 political positions in one. Is in a position to tell us when the interview actually starts.
The right honorable.
Yes, the right honorable
Dr.
Henry
Okun Achibo.
He had promised to do the name in full. Okay, so we must announce that the right honorable Achibong is here in the studio with his second son.
Absolutely.
Okay, Raphael.
He's a barrister,
about to become
a lawyer. But more a journalist.
More a journalist.
He wanted to kill me with questions outside. That's why I wanted him on set.
Yeah, let him come on set. But I don't know. Is this a way to start? I don't know. When you see the minister for FCT, go back to the song. People have started insinuating it could be that they are preparing this wicked song for something. Is it the same scenario here? Are you preparing Udon for something?
No, not really. You allow the children to choose whatever they want.
Absolutely, yeah.
You give them the freedom. So he said, it's very unusual when children leave and then they decide to come back. So he just told me he wants to come back, at least spend some time and learn the language.
Wow.
So he's been doing so much, learning everything you say. He said he wants to come and interact with the people before he goes to law school. I said,
Fantastic.
So, but have you looked at him again?
Yes.
Only last year he celebrated his 60th birthday.
No, I'm Going to 60 by next year.
Oh, you're going to 60 by next year. Okay, so I mean, we're almost 60 by next year. In other words, you're
It's
about
60 now.
It's about 59.
Point-
But also look it.
0.5.
This is two people. The other one came 70.
70.
I was looking like a 60-year-old. This one is almost 60, looking like and the way he walks, very athletic.
I
very
told
fit.
him. I
You
just
still
told him.
play football?
As if you were there. I was telling him how he
do a lot
walked
of
to the stage
exercises.
yesterday.
Yes.
You know, because when you get to a certain age from 50,
Yes.
definitely you have to be very active to be able to help
Absolutely.
digestion. Don't forget I'm a medical doctor.
Absolutely.
So,
And you're practicing one of that.
yes. So that's it.
Fantastic. So, what does it take to be a Dr. Henry Achibong that we are interviewing right now?
Well, Dr. Henry Achibong was not Dr. Henry Achibong back in the days. Dr. Henry Achibong was somebody that used to sell bread along the road, along Aba Port Harcourt Expressway.
Bread.
Yes,
Raphael knows the story.
he knows.
Oh.
And Dr. Henry Achibong used to be somebody that helped the mother in the market to sell crayfish, ice water, everything you can think about.
Where? In which market?
Mile 1 market in Port
In Port Harcourt.
in
Oh,
Jebo.
yes. Somebody
So
told me
you're,
you were in
you're
Port Harcourt.
full-fledged Port Harcourt boy.
Yes.
Yes.
So, getting to becoming a Dr. Henry Achibong meant hard work, you know, meant determination, and meant that you had to look out for yourself, because that's what the youths of today are lacking. And each time I come, I try to let them know that it was not always like this, but you can become whatever you want to be. That's the thing I try to pass to my children, that whatever you want to be, you can be. You don't need anybody. You don't even need a godfather. You can be, as far as Nigeria is concerned and as far as the world is concerned. So
Yes. In the beginning of what is now the Umo Eno governorship in Akwa Ibom, it was rocky. It was something else. It was volatile. It was, if you like, unreceptive. 2 years on, how do people see you? Because there was a time you were just one man standing almost in to local government area for then candidate Umo Eno. But 2 years on, how do you yourself feel, and how do others look at you following the successes the governor has recorded?
you know, politics is a game of interest. The while I was at the podium, I told the whole world that flesh and blood did not reveal Governor Umo Eno.
Yes, we heard it live here from the studios.
It was the Holy Spirit, and I've not forgotten, because Udom Emmanuel told us that I am going to bring you a man that is going to be 100 times better than me. And I just looked at Udom and I was like, is he okay?
How could he have said
Because
that?
nobody politically knew Pastor Umo Eno.
Yeah.
And so you bring in somebody who everybody thinks at that time was
A neophyte.
a neophyte as far as politics was concerned, and nobody, you know. And then we had the political big wigs that we thought, but there's something that guides me, and that thing that guides me is that power comes from God. Because for all it's worth, you can even be, you remember there was, I think in Kogi State, yes, somebody said it is only God that can stop me from becoming the governor, and a few hours later that aspirant was dead.
God actually stopped him.
God actually stopped him. So you do a lot of all these noises, you begin to forget that there is somebody that said, the Bible said, once have I spoken and twice have I heard that power belongs to God, and God gives this power to whomsoever he wants to. So at that time, I am a very loyal person, very loyal, 100+%. I told Udom Emmanuel, I said, whoever you are going to bring as the governor of Akwa Ibom State, I am going to stand by that person, and I'm going to, whatever I have, my little contributions, I will do. You know, that did not dismiss the fact that I am from Itu. We were looking for that position very well. Even myself, I must say, I was also praying that, well,
it could come to your side.
It could come to our side. And if it came to my side too,
perhaps
I was equally qualified.
Absolutely.
You know, but today, when I sit back and look at Umo Eno, our governor, I ask myself, would I have been able to exhibit this kind of leadership qualities? And I said to myself, no. That God gave us a man after his heart. God gave us a man that was righteous, politically, technically righteous, intelligently righteous, strategically righteous. And that is why in the campaign of yesterday, you saw joy.
Oh, it was
everywhere.
the campaign?
It was.
Okay.
It was for me.
Okay.
It was.
We're making progress.
It
now.
was some sort of happy hour.
Okay.
Yes.
On a Thursday.
Yes. So I stand tall today. I stand tall today to say that I am very, very proud that I took a decision I took
to support him.
And today I am vindicated.
Okay. So, Leader Oncom, we're going to have 1 hour with you in full.
Yes.
And there's so much to ask you. And be ready for all the bullets. Fortunately, you are Honorable Commissioner Housing Akwa Ibom, and we're discussing housing under Governor Umo Eno, and we'll be asking you how far. But before we get there, you just said now about, these governors, if you like, uncanny leadership qualities. Please, list them one by one so that we can learn and know what are the leadership qualities of Governor Umo Eno that you speak so much about.
Some people say leaders are made. Some people say leaders are born. I am of the school of thought that leaders are born. And Umo Eno, His Excellency, is one of those leaders that was born to lead. He has the charisma, he has the confidence, he has the integrity, and he thinks strategically. And above all, he's a very humane person.
Okay.
I listened to when my leader here was saying Umo Eno hosted him while he was at
Absolutely. 6 months. Yes, sure, for 6 months.
If you watch my governor presently, permit me to describe this. Sometimes he wants to greet you, he stands like this and almost puts his hand
cameraman. Cameraman. Oh my God.
The reason is because he's trying to he finds it difficult not to greet you with 2 hands. This is a man that when he became governor, he was still, if you were close to him, he was still trying to carry, if you went, he was entertaining you, he was still trying to give you service. And so he has that quality of being humble, and he has this quality of listening. And those are the qualities that make a good leader. Look at the Arise agenda today. Umo Eno, when he came, he didn't say, I'm a governor. He deviated from every other governor. Not to say that every other governor was not good, because everybody has his own leadership style. He came and said, he threw the ball, opened the door for everybody, Akwa Ibomites, non-Akwa Ibomites, to come and sit down and brainstorm. And how do we go about this governance? And everybody came in, professors, industrialists, technically savvy people. They came and worked out the blueprint of this government, and he puts it as a Rise agenda. So what more better quality would somebody have to be a governor than somebody who listens, who tells you, tell me what you want me to do for you? And today he has come to do it. He was supposed to be do a town hall meeting initially, where a few people will be inside the hall, interact with them, and then comes out to now deal with every other person outside. But at some point he said, no, let us open it to everybody. So we now have this town square, in a bid to tell us, let me know what you're going to need in the budget. So those are all the traits of a leader that he's showing. Apart from that, he's a man of God. And being a pastor would have been a very big indictment if Umo Eno did not perform. So today, men of God are being vindicated, but because anytime they come out, they will say, okay, your forebear did very well, you know. So for me, it's a win-win situation for us in Akwa Ibom, and I want to thank God for revealing it to Umo Eno, and then for the people of Akwa Ibom accepting it.
Fantastic. Okay, so let's say we've touched a bit on the political part. That I mean, of course, we need to start from there, because as I said, you did not disagree with me when I said you are holding 3 offices in one.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's carried. Now we needed to start asking those political questions because you're the political leader of E2. But let's talk about your office. Okay. Yes. Maybe we'll go back to yesterday. We'll go back, but at the twilight of the show, we'll talk about yesterday's event.
Okay.
Let's look at your ministry, the Ministry of Housing. That's where you are now. You're translating the dreams of the governor, on. I like you to paint a picture of the different approach that Governor Umo Eno has brought. I'll give you a little pointer. We're beginning to see a new development. Okay, we'll begin because that should still also belong to your ministry, where governments will recover its land and begin to raise fence around it. And some people would think, what's that for? I mean, government land is supposed to be prohibitive for anybody to trespass into. So tell us what innovations that have been brought in the area of housing under your watch since Governor Umo Eno came in as governor.
First of all, I want to thank His Excellency, because just like we are trying to interpret his dreams, he's also trying to interpret the dreams of the United Nations. For example, Sustainable Development Goal number 11. Habitat, housing for all, affordable housing. Not just affordable housing, but housing that is comfortable and with all the amenities. Now, he starts by saying, and his approach to leadership is bottoms up, because the rich people can at least, to some extent, be able to weather the storm. So he now comes in and says, I want to start from the grassroots. He now comes in and looks at the poor. Remember, we're looking at housing for all. And then he starts with...
Is that even possible? Housing for all?
It's possible.
It's a gradual process.
Yes, it's possible, but it's a gradual process for a government that is focused on it. It is, after all, it's happening over there. Though not 100%, but to some extent, in civilized climes, people are comfortable. Even as close to us as Rwanda, mortgages can give you houses that you have to pay gradually, bit by bit, until you're satisfied. So he now comes in and says, takes the compassionate homes and then gives out to the poorest of the poor. You can see the pictures, people that lived in thatch houses, people that sometimes they live in just a roof and nothing, and then suddenly they are having 2-bedroom flats. So now, remember, Umo Eno is not the...
There should be pictures from the Grace Estate.
I'm going to explain.
From the housing ministry. Footages from the housing ministry.
So Umo Eno, and like somebody said earlier, that God has blessed us with governors who stand on the shoulders of previous governors to perform. And so that's why we don't have wastage in Akwa Ibom. We have continuity and positive continuity. Umo Eno comes in, like the picture you just showed now, is the mass housing that was started during Akpabio's regime. One at Iduran, that's Uyo Senatorial District, one at Ikodekbene, and one at Eket. Unfortunately, one at Eket did not start, but that of Iduran was supposed to be 1,000. A lot of them were done, but as you can see, there were no facilities. For example, water, road infrastructure, security, that's the fencing. Because you asked something about government fencing land. So if you look at it, people start encroaching. Even the land that government has even started and surveyed. So how much more the one that is just open to everybody? So even at this one, they had started encroachment. The one at Ikorekbene 2, and then the one at Eket. So when I told the governor, he said, go and do a feasibility study and come back and tell me, because I'm sure His Excellency, by the time I put the report across, he's likely to upgrade this mass housing, because a lot of them are dilapidated and are going to also be put back into use. Now we go to Ikorekbene, the same thing. Now the one I take it, nothing had started, so that one is still, even though people have started encroaching. So Apart from that, look at the aviation village. There's a picture, probably as they scroll. The aviation village, because like I said, this governor is a governor that thinks strategically. Now, sometimes when we are about to travel, as you're coming by 6:45, you see people who are supposed to be working at the airport now trying to get
to the airport. Standing by the roadside.
Yes, and sometimes you pick them, sometimes you're too much in a hurry to pick. And the governor comes in and says, look, we can create, remember the Arise agenda, the second one, which is the R, is the rural development. So whether the airport is at Uran there, you can see that place is not developed because nobody lives there. And what is rural development? He now thinks of establishing or starting an aviation village. A village where all the aviation workers will be living there, and then they will have schools, they will have water, they will have road network, they will have market, and they will have health facility. So that becomes a village that is in itself complete. And once that happens, rural development will start, because people will now tend to, of course, people are going to go build supermarkets, bring in other businesses, and that's how that part of Uran, which is a rural community, is going to develop.
Yes.
So now, so far, if you get to that place, they've done all the road infrastructure is almost complete. The parcellation of the land is being complete. So we are awarding contract for the building of for the provision of the buildings. That one, the picture is not here. It's supposed to be in one of the other ones. So when the governor does that, you have, even with this Iduran and the Kodekbene, by the time the facilities are brought in, the cost of that begins to improve, and then other businesses, ancillary businesses, begin to come up. So now he talks about the medical corridor, where we have the Ibom Specialist Hospital. Now there's going to be a medical corridor that is going to run from there up to somewhere along at Ikono. You are going to have housing for medical doctors, because what is he going to do? He's trying to, like he says, Akwa Ibom should become a tourism hub by the time he leaves office. So now, what we have been losing is that if you look at Nigeria, everybody wants to go outside of this country.
Okay. So this is a Grace
estate.
This
is the Grace estate, the one at
located between the Biona and
Ikono. So this is the one that he
this
gave.
Is where he donated 150 units. Okay.
Units, and they've all taken possession of it. So there's an Arise City also. We're taking a tour of this facility. There's an Arise City too at Mbirebe, Akbawad.
My maternal grandmother comes from there.
So that one too, civil servants are going to also be given placement there. So the governor is like we're saying, housing for all. Housing for all starts slowly and slowly and slowly, and then before you know, everybody gets involved. That's me and my permanent secretary. So you know, so the governor is doing much in terms of making sure that the Akwa Ibom people are comfortable.
Okay, just before we leave housing, I'd like you to walk us through what is the conventional ratio. For instance, when we look at our population as a state, because you keep talking about housing for all, mass housing and all, but let's look at reality. Population to housing availability. What is the UN standard, and where are we as a state? Are we close to meeting that universally acceptable ratio?
No. Well, I won't be able to say specifically what the real ratio is, but the truth is that there is massive housing deficit as far as Africa is concerned, and as far as Nigeria is concerned, and as far as Nigeria is concerned. For example,
as far as Akwa
Ibom is concerned. For example, we are looking at a workforce of about 52,000 in Akwa Ibom State, and that's much. Then when we look at the number of people that are accommodated, it's quite low. Even at the federal government, it's difficult to achieve. So but the truth is that because the governor is focused on achieving this, they say the beginning of a million mile is one step. So he has started with one step, and as we keep moving gradually, we'll keep achieving milestones. And let us not forget that he's not going to be able to complete all this. By the special grace of God, the next governor, because God loves us and gives us governors that will always work to sustain and improve what the other governor has done. So I believe that the next governor will also be able to add to what he has done.
Let's talk mortgage. We understand that that's a gold mine. Now, we're not taking advantage of. For instance, we have the Federal Mortgage Bank. There's a branch on Accra Road. And oftentimes it looks as though Akwa Ibom as a government, Akwa Ibom as a people are not actually optimally utilizing the presence of that bank in the state. What areas of collaboration are you looking at entering into with them that can change that narrative?
Well, first of all, thanks to our governor. So it's all about interpreting the dreams of the governor. Bank of Industry is in Akwa Ibom. Before it wasn't there. So he has created the enabling environment for the Bank of Industry to be around. And then for us, we have estate developers that come in. For example, the one that is developing the Grace Estate, which has passed the phase 1 and is getting into phase 2. Now, there's some kind of counterpart funding which we as housing put forward, and then we now have the mortgage banks coming, and apart from just the mortgage bank, we have some other funders like the family homes who are also waiting to invest in housing, because the truth is that you cannot achieve sustainable housing if you don't have mortgages coming in, because that is actually what happens elsewhere outside this country. So we have people that are ready to come in and help fund housing. So we are creating that synergy so as to have, apart from the mortgages, we have PPPs, the public private partnerships, so that we'll be able to achieve housing for everyone.
Okay, so any moment now we'll bring in our panelists. Raphael, be prepared. You need to make a comment to ask that a question about housing. By the way, the theme for this stanza of the discussion on this 29-day program, 29 guests, is housing under Umo Eno. How far? Before I get to the panelists, Honorable Commissioner, the Right Honorable Dr. Henry Ukanafun-Orok, talk to us about housing under this governor. How far?
Well, this is just barely 2 years of Governor Umo Eno, and so many things inside the Arise agenda. And of course, for you to be able to have a holistic approach to development, you have to pick everything together. So housing is a part. So far, I just mentioned him trying to looking into the mass housing. I mentioned the aviation village, and I mentioned the Grace Estate. Now, at Ewet, there is a luxury estate that is being put forward at Ewet, and at the Gulf, at the ravine,
yes,
that he has converted to
a resort.
There's going to be a housing program, ultra luxury housing program.
Wow.
In that place, because Umo Eno thinks business. If you're doing a resort, who are those that are going to be able to enjoy the services of the resort and patronize that resort for it to be sustained? You have to have some elites, and so he has looked into that. So far, like the aviation village, that one,
this is it.
Yes, this is the aviation village. I was actually inspecting. Now this is the
location. Okay.
The one at Eket.
Oh.
So now you find out that he's taking one step at a time. For example, everything building, let us not say housing is not just the houses that we live in. Everything building that is building is housing, so long as you have a roof over your head. Whether you're going to live in the house or you're going to use it for business, it is housing. Now look at the conversion of the land that was almost taken over by the Lagos State government. He's going to build Akwa Ibom Towers that is going to give us a lot of internally generated revenue. Right now, the piling is in progress. The one at Abuja. So the man is taking holistic look into the housing issues in Akwa Ibom. Whether it is business, whether it is for living, just so that,
for leisure.
Like he said, he doesn't want to tax the way the government is. People are already poor, and then you begin to add taxes. So instead of that, he's now devising means where the state is going to develop internally generated revenue. So, and then two, you have the commissioners' quarters that are going to come up. You also have the houses for the local government chairman, because he has said that the local government chairman should live inside the council, their local government. Yes. And once the local government chairman live there, of course, people are going to naturally gravitate there with the facilities that are, provided. Rural development can also take place. And so there's a whole lot that the governor is doing. We are also, as a housing ministry, we are looking at a housing symposium, I think around 6th of October, because that's the World Habitat Day, that we are looking at bringing in all the stakeholders and then to come and participate in Akwa Ibom and expose Akwa Ibom to them, so that at the end of the day, we are likely to have people who are ready to come in and invest in Akwa Ibom housing. Because when the tourism potential of Akwa Ibom is opened up, people are going to see the need for housing. When the Bakadip Seaport starts, people are going to see the need for housing. And housing is not just, we're not looking at housing, we look at housing as a place where people stay, but we're also looking at housing that will be able to generate internally generated revenue. For example, I discussed with a consultant who can actually give us a mapping of the house, the numerical strength of the houses in Akwa Ibom State, and he's trying to develop an app that can actually help you to be able to monitor what goes on in the housing, know the number, and we have calls in such a way that it can be monitored, so that security-wise, whatever happens in a location can actually be traced. And then if these people are able to pay, even if it is 1,000 naira, and then multiply with the number of houses that are there, it's going to give us some revenue. So that's what we are looking at.
Okay, it's 6 p.m. to the minute. This Friday evening now, and we just stipulated that this is the
fifth day.
Day 5, okay.
The fifth.
And this series that's supposed to run for 29 days, running up until the 29th of May 2025. And can I break this news at this point? His Excellency Governor Umo Eno, PhD, would be our studio guest on the 29th of May. His Excellency Governor Umo Eno will be studio guests, and I know the jubilation that will be happening around the studios. So we look forward to having him on the 29th of May 2025. And right now we're discussing housing under him in the last 2 years, and we're asking the Honorable Commissioner how far so far. You've heard him. We have a panelist. We're going to them in a moment. The other panelists in Lagos had to move away because, we're not just ready to join him. But before we go to the panelists, Honorable Commissioner, Right Honorable Dr. Henry Okuna-Chibong, did you ever see yourself as somebody who will be in charge of housing for Akwa Ibom? Because the way you are quoting World Habitat Days on October the 6th, this one is happening here, this one you have to do this, or it's just these 2 months, 3 months you have been on the beat that you have learned all of this?
Somebody asked me, he said, rhetorically, somebody said, a doctor.
Medical doctor.
Medical doctor. So how do you...
Yes.
And I just laughed. I told him, I said, look, everybody that has passed through a university, when you're given your certificate, they say you are worthy in character and learning. And the learning is not just about what you learn.
Absolutely.
The university must have passed through you, it must have interacted.
Absolutely.
And then, by privilege, I became a member of the House of Representatives.
Yeah.
And for 8 years, I was part of committees that oversighted a lot of things, including housing.
Yeah.
And then apart from that, my medical background gives me an edge in the sense that I know doctors used to read a lot. So we read twice. One of my pastime, my hobby is to read.
Really?
So I read a little of everything. And so as I went into housing, when His Excellency told me, I want you to go and see how you can revive this ministry. So, and me being somebody that doesn't want, I'm not somebody that likes to go to a place. I can be very quiet, but I like to leave a place and leave a mark.
Yeah.
So I have to read about housing. I have to do a lot of things. Don't forget, I have an MBA.
Oh, you do?
Yes, I have an MSc. So with all that experience, and I'm actually even studying what's it called? Project management. So a lot of
what do you want to do with all this?
A lot of these things.
What do you want to do with all this? You're already a medical doctor.
My mommy didn't go to school.
Okay, your mom, you're trying to balance the equation. Okay, by the way, you just spoke to the fact that you were in the House of Reps.
Yes.
There are people who believe that this office is a calm down, is a demotion. How do you react to things like that?
I think they do not understand. Service is service. There are thousands of and one people that are praying that their governor should just even shake hands with them. So if my governor comes in, and I want to thank the governor, sir, because you see, a typical Akwa Ibom person, because why I'm saying this is that with due respect to Akwa Ibom people, why I'm saying this is that every other state in Nigeria has gone ahead of Akwa Ibom in terms of representation in the National Assembly. Cross River State had somebody in the House of Reps that had gone for 4 terms.
Whoa.
But for years we have been in Akwa Ibom saying, because Achibon has gone for 4 terms, let him come back, we have settled him. National Assembly is not about settlement. It's about what you get and bring back to your people. For example, I'm sorry, I'm not going to advertise, but I'm telling you that if you look at what Unyimidem has done, if you look at what Makeza, because they are holding very important committees of the House. For example, public procurement is a huge committee. And so when you get there and come out first term, and I stand to be
corrected, yeah.
You cannot, as a new member of the House of Reps, build a house in Abuja. I am not
with all the money they say you cannot. You collect.
No. Those things are actually people that don't understand. Because if you manage to build a house in Abuja, that means you're not going to be able to take care of your constituents. And if you're standing election again the following term, you're going to sell that house, except by miracle. So before you get to build a house in Abuja as you comfortably build a house, you would have done your second term.
So you want people to be you want Governor Umo Eno to allow people to go to 3rd term, 4th term?
Definitely, because there is no House of Reps member, I'm talking about House of Reps member, that can give you a contract in the first term.
Okay.
Even in the second term. For example, Unyimidem cannot give you a contract.
Even now?
Cannot give you. Because he doesn't hold a capital, a capital committee where you have projects. So when you begin to handle committees like education, works, housing, customs, probably Navy, Army, those are committees that can give you the opportunity to give contracts. But if you are committees like where Unyimidem is and Make is, and you are also trying to lobby, you're trying to lobby to get for yourself, you don't have the one to be able to give to other people. So I now believe that, and I stand here to advocate for the fact that people should be allowed. Remember Ted Kennedy in US, 54 years as a senator. Even the president that just left, Joe Biden. Now I can tell you for free that if you do not take time as a new member in the House of Reps, even as a second-term member, you will have to beg your colleagues almost to the point of kneeling down for you to be able to get something back home. But there are committees that you head, because you have that kind of committee, you relate with them at that level of committee. So for me, there's nothing that stops us from allowing our lawmakers to go back, because as you go back, the first time you learn, the second term you're trying to stabilize, by the third term you begin to understand. In fact, by the third term you started understanding everything that goes on. And so by the time you bring out somebody that's in the second term and send a first term member, let me give you an example, sir, please. When we were in the National Assembly, your constituency project is about 100 million and it was never funded 100%. The only time it was about funded for about 80% was when we were leaving. It's always about 50%. So by the time the contractor takes, and you discover that the projects are usually abandoned, almost abandoned. And so because of that, you see members used to do empowerment. Members did not used to embark on capital projects, because by the time you embark on capital projects and it's all funded, your next budget, your next project, you're going to be able to use another of your capital to fund. So by the time you finish, you may not have finished a good project. So because of that, I see members, they want to do empowerment, because that one is where you are able to control it and you can finish it.
Okay.
So when you have good committees like my brothers are having now, you can then do projects and people feel the projects you're doing. So by the time you take them out and bring in a new person, the person starts from
that is dislocated. So
yes.
Okay. So we're also on live radio. I need to tell you that. And Radio Akwa Ibom 90.5 FM is being watched around the world, a la Radio Garden. So +234 if you want to call into the program. Otherwise, simply 0802-354-7268. +234 if you are doing from outside of Nigeria, but within 0802-354-7268. We're discussing with the Honorable Commissioner Housing, Akwa Ibom State, the Right Honorable Dr. Henry Okona-Chibong, who is discussing housing under Governor Umo Eno. How far? And this is day 5 of our series, running up until the 29th of May 2025, when we play host to Governor Umo Eno, who is marking his second year in office. Okay.
Have a call?
Yeah, already. Okay, so the panelists can have their 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'll give 1 minute apiece, starting with the registrar of the Michael Bush. No, ladies first. I know it should be after the men, but Mary Ann, Andy, Mrs.
Okay.
Who should first?
Okay, thank you very much. Honorable Commissioner, I'm so excited about the Governor's Housing for All Sustainable Development Plans. I'm excited because AKBC is included in that plan. And for the first time, I've seen a governor included AKBC, because I've been a staff of AKBC for like over 2 decades, and we'll be moving from one apartment to another as tenants, and it's been embarrassing and not encouraging at all. We don't have a good working environment. So I want to ask, I thank the governor for including AKBC. I want to ask now, how soon after the groundbreaking, because we know it's the smart house is part of the
housing, yeah.
So how soon? What do we expect?
Will you know that?
Yeah. First of all, I'm not going to preempt the governor, but you know he's going to have groundbreaking. Now, by the time the governor finishes groundbreaking of about, I think, over 40 projects in the next 2 years, this state is going to be, in fact, Akwa Ibom is going to be the cynosure of all eyes when it comes to broadcasting. You need to see the picture. It's not in my position to.
We have the picture. We have the photograph.
That's it. Yeah. So this is a model.
We have everything here.
The imaging.
The only thing I worry about the buildings in the background. Are they in Uran? Which one? Which buildings are that? That's the only one. The ones in the background.
Well, this is how it is going to. The important thing is that this is how it's going to look.
Wow.
Forget the ones behind.
Okay, look at this one.
Because it is the artistic impression, architectural impression of how it's going to look like. So you can imagine when, you know, I said the governor says Akwa Ibom is going to be a tourism hub. So imagine somebody that has not passed through this road for the past 5 years, and suddenly he passes again and then sees this project here. Look at what happens to the Model Health Center. So now, to answer your question, how soon and how long? The luxury estate was given to one developer, and the governor says never again will he give a whole project to a developer, because
it takes forever.
He has a timeline.
Absolutely.
So that one that you're seeing there was supposed to have been finished by May, and so the developers couldn't meet up. So because this is a governor that works on timeline, this is not a governor that, in fact, each time, let me tell you, each time, like now, we are sometime next week, we are going to do our
project review meeting.
Our project review meeting. We are always on our toes. So by the time you present your own and come out, you breathe down, because it's always like we must meet up this milestone and move to another one. So now, what is keeping the aviation village, for instance, is because the resource persons are being looked into, so that when you get your own and you're like, in the next 5 months you must finish it. So I won't be, because these projects are supposed to be finished before the governor's second term.
Okay.
So all these projects are going to come up before the governor's second term expires, and not just this. 40, I think 47 of them.
Okay. Because of time and lack of it, we have just a little over 16 minutes to round off this edition of the program. We need to go. So Registrar, I come to you. 1 minute.
Hotcom, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you said so many things about housing, and since I'm not in that area, I might not really have so much to ask you about housing. But I'd like to ask you about Governor Umo Eno. He has done a couple of things, and excellent. I must give it to him. But let me ask: is there any gap you feel it should cover up within the space of 2 years? Must have been by 29 of this month, of this month.
Even if he had gaps, I think he would tell you. He's on commissioner, he's on the executive council.
No. The issue of gaps, you see, it's always easy to, when you sit from outside, it's always easy for you to, like footballers in the field. Remember, when you sit watching football, you see all the angles you can play and score, but the person on the field doesn't see what you see. But the truth is that, for what it is worth, our governor has done excellently well. So we're not looking at the gaps now, but we're looking at praying for him to be able to do more, to have the wisdom. First of all, the peace and the unity that we have in the state has filled a lot of gaps. And so all we need to do is pray for him to be able to execute. Don't forget, funding comes from the center, and thanks to Tinubu for removing fuel subsidy. The governor has said it openly. That brings in more money to the state. For example, here is a governor that for 2 years has not borrowed a kobo, a dime. He has the latitude to borrow and do whatever he wants to do. Here's a governor that all these projects that are amounting to almost 200 and something plus billions, he says the money is there. So that answers your question that these projects are going to finish in the next 2 days.
Okay, Raphael, from son to father, I'm sure this is going to be creating history. For the first time, you have a son on live television taking up the father. But Raphael, while you are just making up your mind, let me go to your father and talk about the encroachment that government buildings or government facilities, government land suffers. For instance, AKBC in Darinyang. There's trouble here. What's government doing about that?
Well, I hope you have, because if you do not tell the government may not know. So now, Ministry of Lands is supposed to know everything about the land. I hope you make your presentation to lands. Even in the housing ministry, we have a lot of people writing to us that they are encroaching on their own space, and we go to investigate and make our own recommendation. So I think lands is not the governor, because the governor delegates his duty, and part of his duty is for the Ministry of Lands to look into the issue of encroachment. And then for us as a ministry, we find where there's an encroachment. When we come in, we establish the boundaries of the land that belongs to the ministry, and we do a fencing, perimeter fencing.
Raphael, talk to your father, the Right Honorable Dr. Henry Achibong. I didn't say Raphael Achibong because being your father, your surname is already Achibong. Okay.
You know, if you ask me very difficult question, you won't eat that too.
Go ahead, Raphael.
Okay. I would like to say and start by saying that being here is a very sincere privilege that I am not going to take for granted. It's a story I'll tell my kids, and I'm sure they'll tell their kids.
Amen. You're already planning to have kids, bro.
God said go into the world and prepare.
Absolutely. Great.
So, let me start by saying that from the emergence of our governor, if you read in between the lines, you can see that his emergence was divinely orchestrated. And the Bible says that my word will not go and come back unfulfilled.
Right, yeah.
And I would like to say that this governor will not come into this state and leave without doing what he has said he will do. But please, sir, let me ask you a question.
Wait, sir, he's not daddy now.
Official.
This guy.
So, the question is...
Remember, he warned him. We had warned him, so he has got to be very careful.
I am active, but I can go out and find fruit.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, I have this podium to represent the youth. And I think, irrespective of my own interests, I would like to ask a question that could benefit other people of my age.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the question is, how can the youth participate in the development of Akwa Ibom State as it stands today?
Fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Great question.
Our elders used to say, when a child washes his hands very well, he can eat with elders.
Elders, yeah.
So long as the child refuses to wash his hands, he will not eat with elders. Now, let me tell you what the governor has done. I think over 90% of the local government chairmen in the state now are youth. Now, I want to pick an example. My own local government chairman. If you came to the program yesterday, he's the only one that the governor comes to commission a project in the local government. And we have what we call the Government House of Itu, courtesy of Mr. Umo Eno. Now, how did he get there? When I was in the National Assembly, people say, oh, you don't do this, you don't do this. Give somebody money, a politician, to go and give to somebody. Most likely, 90% of times, he won't give the person the correct amount of money. But Umo Eno, when he had the opportunity to galvanize the youth to support Umo Eno, I can tell you that the guy will give to the least money he had. And everybody saw the transparency within which he was doing. And that was him washing his hands clean. So when it was time for him to contest election, in fact, everywhere was, once you mentioned Kuti, they said, nobody. So the youths have to take their destiny in their hands. Let the youths know that the elders are usually they still be looking at you as that small child. So you have to prove your mettle, prove the fact that you are a child. Imagine that you had gone to school and you became a drug addict. I'll be so ashamed to bring you to this
studio.
You don't know what we have done, what they have done by even accepting you, and they're accepting you because your father has integrity and they brought you into the station. If not, so imagine a child like that. So the youths have to take their destiny into their hand. The youths must not always feel that godfathers must always be there.
Interesting.
Because sometimes you see, the governor has said, open the portal for employment. And then they say they want to employ. The first thing that enters somebody, Honorable, Mbok, no slot info. Let me be your slot. You can't be my slot. I now ask, have you filled the form? He said, no, I've not filled. This thing. They say until you have somebody, that impression must not be there. Somebody came to my office in the National Assembly. He wanted a job. And I said, please, go and get me photocopies of your papers. Do you know that 2 people left, the other ones were sitting down. And that day we finished, it was a committee meeting we finished, and I came with the head of the agency. And he asked me, where are the
credentials?
The credentials. I said, hey, where are this? 2 gave me. The other 2 didn't give me. What happened? The other 2 took their destinies in their hand. This one was waiting for slot. And of course, that was it.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So, the last shot.
I'll go just quickly.
I'm Commissioner. I celebrated for the work you are doing for Akwa Ibom. I want to speak on 2 planes. One, I want to speak on the housing plane to the professional side. I am working on a research. I'm doing a PhD, and my research is along the coastline.
Yeah.
And I see terrible housing that the local people are living there. So I would like to ask that your ministry would concentrate a lot of activities on that area. Ibno, Isno Bolo, Israel, part of Okobo, Mbo, that axis, they are having a lot of housing challenges. So
number 2, quickly, we need to go.
Number 2, I grew up, I lived for 10 years in the community here at Uraikwa, Korobiotai. I want to advocate for those lovely people as political leader of it.
What are you advocating?
That you look at their streets when development is coming, walking on the streets. Those roads are bad.
Okay.
A lot of roads off Uraikwa.
Yes, thank God. His Excellency is doing a lot of internal. You will agree with me that His Excellency is doing internal roads in that vicinity. So, like I said, funding. So, as they finish one, they will go. Like now, the needs assessment that we did, some of those roads are inside, and we cannot just concentrate on this side. We must do a holistic development. And then when it comes to the coastal houses you're looking at, well, one of the key agenda of the governor is rural development. And the way he is going, it may not be just immediate, but we are going to get there.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Okay. Okangyan. Yeah, good. Get on 2 minutes.
Nito ko yung isong ile me so ku si tanga so songo ku pamba ke di ku sen ni na ku so ini mbo ari nam usene mi yu toke usene wo mu soke ki so kara governor ni yoiba mfani ki kamiti yake ari to inu ni bangwe ni yong ina maru ke yo sa ishigo yunu were yong abiyong tokaro mai mi yong sen ni nam ta nam kenangan ni nama Norono. Ipakeram kita ngai komisioner se mbo banga ubo form mbo di yang itu fok bot ke bob bam bom itu karama ma beneti usen kan bo nom bo di kunum bo bo ni bun ke bu ni suana ke suana udah fok ku yero ke tu atu itu lu kom teria den benye mention benye kile me mo nyong atang anye do bia ibong makara benye so helicopter sangan su mebo anye biyo kilo ko ndero ke ibang ka bo fuka ko fong wen dai fio o ya ko fong wen le bu yo kile mbo fong ko nyong bu yo ku fong wen bien na fetri di yong se fo no ina kilo ko wen le ru bebo ka bana nga su wotie ikike menyon aburu no o ben fien akenam ken der fo no ken da ro nam imo ido si mo ido mfanem ba ben yin ma fuka kang wen no wa wang tu ni bu ra ka ke body mai niệm phật cái bản từ cái vai biết cho cái cá nó qua cả rồi bây giờ bên sum cái năm bá từ kinh đồ bo phò cái mẹ u đề mẹ đồ cái mi mem o đi bo phò nó cái mẹ phải phải nhớ cái cái mi nam đi con từ cái mà rồi cái mi bê sa xí đi rồi xí đâu có cái đi đâu cái mi bê rồi cái ba cam con rồi cái đẹp bản na nói từ đi trong má nên trong bê cái đi nó nó phò quay bây giờ mention siung bom mention như bu kukara Umo Eno ane ke nam msani fak adi bobo fo nom bunu mi kan ni niu ka makpana pan bunu sedidong ba to kendum mo we mane e to ide me nyon fo ko di to kido fre fan bo yo fre fan da yo fre fre ni yo anam ba bere tanga bo ke I tanga ke mi ke ko no nyene ya sani tia di dai song kam pon tu fo wa ka kana ba ku bang ki to bang zai ba so ke mi ken ke di dong po ya ke je je wi do ku ba ku yo kam pon tu sai ju na ke nyong di ku fo te pen te ba ku men te I tong ni me ke mi ro song di ne an ye dong po no ni no nyin fon di tang bang an ku kam fa di ba sa ta wo ren tan gu bi di be ke ku bu ben ke de ma ku bi de mi ba di tu fa di ba no bi di na ga bi na ba de do kang
Saban.
And the way Raphael was watching him,
yeah, you know,
so I should move and stay with this man. I can take this video faster.
I'm sure Raphael has learned a great deal. This is part of why he had to visit.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
And for the next 2 weeks, how many weeks do we still have on the program? 3 weeks almost.
3 weeks of the
3 weeks. So Raphael will be with us every day.
Absolutely.
You know, as an intern.
Yes.
You know. Okay, so you give him 2 shots. Number 1 about the event of yesterday. Number 2, closing remarks. What he thinks about second anniversary. So you can
do that in
send a goodwill message to the governor. Yes, 1 minute.
He
has to do that in 1 minute. Go.
Well, I want to thank the governor for being a people-centric governor. I don't have much to say. My own is to pray that God will give him the enablement, give him the wisdom, be able to sustain him so that he'll be able to do what he came to do. Now, yesterday's town hall meeting was a real success. And, you know, the day before, there was serious rain. Even in the morning, we're not sure that we're going to do that program. And then suddenly, God bless us with a very clement weather. That means God had sanctioned what we're going to do. And the whole place was very peaceful. And there were no rancors. And we thank the governor because he's leading peacefully, humanely, and we're also following him peacefully and humanly too.
It's time for us to go. The Right Honorable Henry Okon-Achibong, Honorable Commissioner, Medical Doctor, Honorable Commissioner, Ministry of Housing, Akwa Ibom State, political leader to local government area.
Don't count again. Don't count again.
Don't count again. He needs to classify me, so I don't count anymore. All right, so we'd like to thank you for having found time.
Tomorrow, Akwa Ibom State World Leaders Union.
Okay.
We'll take the first stanza, and then the second stanza will come back. And then on Sunday, we're going as far afield as Canada.
Absolutely. Canada,
we'll have
Philippines, who explore the diaspora.
Absolutely.
And have a number of
I want to know what people in the diaspora, quite people in the diaspora, think about this governor.
Yes.
And then on Monday and Tuesday, the program continues like that. Please don't forget, on the 29th, the climax of the program, His Excellency Governor Umo Eno, PhD, live as our studio guest. We gotta go, Uncle.
Okay, so we're back here on the other side of 22 hours. Join us when we do. Bye-bye. God bless you.
Over 200 units of compassionate homes, hundreds of kilometers of roads covering all local government areas, over 10,000 entrepreneurial equipment and tools to MSMEs, 5 billion naira worth of grants to farmers and traders, over 60 billion gratuity arrears to retired civil servants cleared, acquisition of brand new aircraft for Umo Air, advancement of work on Ibom Deep Seaport, donation of 150 units of 2-bedroom flats to 150 civil servants, advancement of work on Ibom Tropicana hotels and 5,000-seater international conference center, primary health care renaissance, launch of state health insurance scheme and quick response statewide ambulance services, establishment of the center for the elderly, construction of a 200-bed hospital within the state medical corridor. These and more are the huge strides of Governor Umo Eno in less than 2 years. They are realities because of your tax. Much more can be achieved if only you continue to pay your tax. Have you paid your tax? This message is courtesy Macrae Trust International Limited for the Akwa Ibom State Internal Revenue Service.